Anyway, I'm sitting here with Brad Hills, candidate for the 2019 elections on the Hamilton East side.
Yeah.
I know that because your posters are on my side. So.
They're tagged up too.
Yeah. I don't support tagging posters full stop, but I'm disappointed with the standard of tagging.
Yeah, so am I.
It is. I'm beginning to be worried that it's a sign of the lack of cleverness and smarts of people in the city. If that's the level of tagging that we're getting, I'm a bit worried about the imagination of people.
Well, that's why we need to promote the art community.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that one person, by the looks of going up Te Aroha Street and Heafy Terrace, is just doing,
especially when there's so much you could do with this.
I was like, that's because I was going to grab one and just, this is what I expect from someone, because you expect it as a candidate, you get a tag, but put some effort into it.
Yeah, put some effort. Like looking at you, a couple of devil's horns and pointy teeth would go down well. Now that's imaginative.
I would like the afro or some sunglasses or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a cigarette coming out. But it was lack of imagination.
Yeah, and you sort of, there's certain things that you can use as guides as to sort of what the average is, and when things like this, that the average graffiti is not even showing any signs of effort.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder either all the people who are skilled artistically have decided they're not going to tag anything, right, and that just leaves the rubbish end of it, right, or the creativity and imagination is somehow dissolved in our youth, and it's just because it's probably younger people that are doing it.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of having a competition at the end of the campaign and saying, like, anyone can come collect my signs, or I'll drop it at school. The person who does the best tag or best I'll give you $100.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
because then it creates creativity. It also, I think a lot of people would probably love to do that because people have been dying, and it's basically asking people to be imaginative and creative. And, Anyway, but must ask you the core question, and it's why should people vote for you?
Why should people vote for me? I've been asked this question a few times, and when we're talking about ourselves, we're supposed to promote ourselves and tell everybody, this is why. For me, it's not why should people vote for me. It's when you go to vote, I just want people to vote for people who they think are going to make a change, who are going to do positive things for the communities, who are going to send Hamilton in the right direction into the future. And if they think that's me, by reading my blogs or looking on Facebook or anything that I've done, then vote for me. Then I'm happy with that. I'm just one thing that I'm not very good at is promoting myself. So I'm getting better at it, but I don't want it to be a trait. I want people to vote for me if they truly believe that I'd be effective in council.
You're more of a teacher than a salesperson. So what out of your policies and things like this, what would be the things that you think? A couple of things that you think people would vote for you versus someone else, possibly.
Well, I think people in my generation and lower, I think affordable homes, that's one of my big policies. I would love to see affordable homes that are actually affordable, under the $500,000 bracket. I think we need to come to terms with the fact that we're probably going to have to build up. We're going to have to build smaller sections, smaller houses even. Because I think New Zealand has the second biggest homes in the world.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, in terms of size of the houses. So, and I can't remember where the survey was done. I'm pretty sure it's New Zealand one, and we only use about 60% of the house. So they track the people in the houses, and and there's a lot of room that they don't use. So it's almost a waste of space. So we need a.
I've never thought about that. But looking back, when I was a kid, we were brought up in quite a large house.
Yeah.
I mean, quite large.
Yeah.
It was an old house. So is that the old style house that you could effectively have chopped that into two separate units, quite
easy.
big units
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
But yeah, we do have, because you go places and you see quite big sections and
Extra lounge,
Yeah.
you know, a study room, and all these sorts of things that people want. You know, but we've got to pay extra for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we want, I think for me, affordable homes or having a home, that's something that we're almost bred to believe that we will have. You know, we leave school, we work, and we can afford our own homes, but it's so out of reach these days. And you know, with our median age at 32, there's a lot of first home buyers coming through, and who's going to be able to afford it? Not a big percentage of them.
Yeah, Mum and Dad had their first home. Yeah, would have definitely been by 32ish, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Because they bought the section and built it.
Yeah.
The year before I was born. And that was their first home.
Yeah.
And they have never rented since that point. Whereas we've got a whole collection of people who are not technically poor,
That's right.
that are renting and don't have much option.
Yeah, there's that bracket that is stuck between we can't afford the $600,000 average home, median home price, and you know, but we're stuck with this money that we could afford a house if it was $500,000, but they don't, because they've got to rent, and the rent prices they're increasing every day. So, you know, when you think about the median wage in Hamilton being $52,000. If you're single by yourself, you've got to do a bit of saving, and you know, if deposits 20%, 15% even, that's close to $100,000 you've got to save.
And what our needs for a house now have changed also, because with the change in technology, the physical things we have, even if you stick to pretty much the same things we had when I was a kid, they don't take up as much room anymore.
Yeah.
You know, TVs are paper thin, for instance. So you haven't got, to get a 32-inch screen, you haven't got this brick that's almost 32 inches deep.
You just
sitting
chuck
there.
them on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, our technology is amazing these days,
Gone are the days of having a phone about the size of a dinner plate sitting on a table in the hall anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd love to see every new house built solar powered. I think they should be preparing themselves for solar power. Yeah, I think it makes sense. If we're going down that pathway anyway.
Talking about that, if we're going to talk about things like solar power, right, which I think actually is quite good, because one of the things, and I know this from having a father who worked in the electrical area.
Yeah.
One of the things that affects power usage is the distance between the power generation and the power usage.
Oh yeah.
And it would be very easy to have a lot of solar energy generated from houses, and a certain amount of that feeding back into the national grid.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's somewhere, I think it was in Japan, I can't remember where, but an entire city is completely and utterly powered by all the solar panels on all the roofs. They actually generate enough that they can actually export it out of their city.
Yeah.
Right?
That's amazing.
And I thought, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The other one is water.
Yeah.
We've heard through the elections, everyone brings up the three waters at some point, right? The one thing I haven't heard anyone bring up is water collection locally on the property, and I'm not just saying having a tank and you put city people on tank water. It's the fact that during the year, especially the summer, we do get rain, but very little of the rain that falls in Hamilton actually gets used in Hamilton, right? But it would be theoretically relatively easy to collect that water. Yeah. It would take years for this to develop, to put all this together. Yeah. But if we think ahead, say 10, 15 years, and go, if in 15 years we want to be able to collect water from roofs, channel that through a treatment system, and then send that back to the house. So that way, when it rains in Hamilton, we don't have a water shortage. Because most of our water is reliant on Taupo. Yeah. So if it doesn't rain in Taupo, we're on water restrictions. You know? Plus, there's also the use of grey water. I know. I know one or two councils have brought up the idea of collecting grey water, which is water from your kitchen sink, and reusing that.
Yeah.
I know there's a few places that do that quite well overseas, and for instance, the water that's used when you wash your hands could be used for flushing the toilet. I used to, when I lived in a place with a reasonable sized garden, I used to collect the water from my washing machine to put on the garden, especially during summer. So that water that was used to wash the clothes actually went straight onto the garden, and it never went down the drain. Right? And I had a thriving garden, and I think that's something we need to look at. Do you think Hamilton needs to start looking, as councillors, needs to start looking at alternative ways of doing things because the future is changing? Water collection, we know we're going, within infill housing, we know we're going to have a strain on our sewerage system, and we can't just rip it all out and replace it. It's not a game. We can't just lift everything up, and so something's got to be done. Yes, we're going to have to change the pipes, especially the core pipes, over time, but we can't just rip up every pipe on every property. There's got to be some other solution to help cater for that. I know I heard one suggestion to do with suburbs with stormwater system that holds a certain chunk of that stormwater till after the storm's gone and lake releases it. So instead of the stormwater from an entire day's rain downpour hitting the system all at once, it hits the system over a period of a couple of days, and things like that.
I think I'd love to see something like that. The council provide some type of scholarship, maybe at the Wintec or the university, where it promotes this type of thinking. Where if you think you've got the goods to create some sort of machinery or new gadget that we can store water or store solar power or any of those types of things, then we should be going, right, here's a $20,000, $10,000 scholarship even. Right, can you do this? And if you can, right, well, we want you working for us too. We need to promote people thinking outside the square.
Yes, because we've got an education system that's pretty much, it's generating intelligent, bright people, right?
But it's made for the old style of work where we leave work and we stay in this career for the rest of our lives, where people are changing all the time, but it's not promoting this creativity that we really need.
Now, there's something as a teacher, that the old system of teaching was basically factory oriented.
That's right.
You enter the factory called school to prepare you for the factory called work afterwards. Right. I know some schools have been changing that to some degree. Do you think this is an area where education and local councils could work closer together to change the way we're educated, or kids are educated, by involving them in a different way of life? That's not quite that sit in the classroom and study a book.
I worked at Rotatuna Junior High School and Senior High School. It's a newer school that's opened up, and as a teacher aide, and the way that they taught, it might not be for everybody. They probably need to be taught that way from the get-go as soon as they start school. But just some of a lot of their stuff is project-based, so they get the kids having an end result, so they're striving for a goal of. And I thought it was a great way to teach kids. It's not for everyone, I've been at boys' high as well, and boys' high is really strict, and they keep those boys in line, and that's, some boys need to go there. And I've been at Cambridge High as well, and it's a bit more relaxed, a lot more relational. But the one thing I like about Rotatuna is that they're getting kids thinking outside the square. They're identifying their talents. And they're really promoting. Like I was there, and these 12-year-old kids were teaching me how to code. I was like,
does that make you feel old?
Yeah, well, I was just, these kids know
12-year-olds teaching you how to write computer code. You're not that. What'd you say? 32. 37. Yeah. And
32 sounds good.
Surely that 12-year-old's teaching you to code. Must be making you sort of feel, Am I ancient or something?
Well, the thing is, I just had absolutely no idea. And they're teaching me about the binary.
Binary.
I was like,
binary system.
yeah. And I was like, well, these kids are gonna know they're gonna be so intelligent.
Yeah.
But we're not promoting that enough, particularly even when they leave school, because we don't have the options for them to go into. Where are they going to go with all of that?
Yeah. So that, because yes, we do need the core stuff,
that's
maths, writing, and reading, right? Because you can't do the rest of it without those. You need those to start.
Yeah, I totally
and
agree.
we need to identify people who struggle in those environments. But see, one of my areas that I always thought this country is missing, that America, I hate to say America's got something right, because there's so many problems with what America does at the best of times.
Yeah.
But the one thing they do is they teach civics in schools.
Yes.
Right?
Totally agree.
And they have class elections and things like student elections and things like this.
Yeah.
And we could do that here. The council could work with schools on a rotating basis to have their democracy department go in and help teachers to teach kids about the importance of democracy, the voting system
So
we have,
important.
all these sorts of... I suggested to... Who was it? One of the candidates, well, I think he's student council, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, that maybe one option, if you're doing this, would also be that around election time like now, you run a parallel election. Well, it's the same election, same candidates, but you give 15, 16, 17-year-olds a chance to actually vote. It has no impact on the actual election, right?
Yeah.
But they get a chance to actually vote.
Yeah.
That gets tallied up, and we get to compare what those kids who they would have voted for, compared to who actually gets in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in the process, teach them to critically think about who they're voting for.
That's
because
one of the
that's
things
where education's moved a bit more. When I was a kid, it was, you learned your times tables, you learned this, you learned that, you learned you did your spelling and all this sort of carry on. Now we're looking more at a broader approach to education. We need to teach kids how to think, because as much as some people may have a problem with this, you can get information from so many different sources nowadays.
That's right.
There's some information you don't need to memorise.
Yeah, that's right.
You need to have a vague idea. For instance, like addition. You need to be able to do that in your head to some degree, because you can't always rely on a calculator.
Yeah.
But advanced maths, you don't need to necessarily remember the formulas as be able to understand the formulas and work out what formula needs to be used, so that you can do a search if you don't know.
Yeah.
And go, oh, okay, that's the bit of information I need. No, I've got used to doing this for things now. I search for a bit of information and go, oh, okay, that's the bit of information I need. And apply a bit of critical thinking as to how I'm going to use it.
One of the things I'm really pushing for is initiatives in the schools that get particularly with civics, that get our kids understanding, just year 11, 12, 13, I don't think they really need to know too much more beforehand, but at least give them an understanding of why voting is important and what politics is. So then, we've got a huge issue particularly for our younger generation, not even bothering about voting. 33%. And, people who own houses, old generation Christians, are more likely to vote. But these young people, they don't care. They're not aware. Because I live in over by the university. I've been doing a bit of door knocking. They have no idea.
That's quite shocking. I find it shocking because I come from a family where I was brought up with the importance of that. And I still find it shocking when I come across people who just don't understand the importance of what their one vote well placed can do. And if everyone's doing that, they don't even understand the importance of being in a position to shape our council.
I think people that are thinking about the one vote and not as a collective vote, that's what they're thinking about. My one vote's not going to do anything. And I used to be the same. I've only just started voting. So, I've been in that same boat. And a lot of my friends and the people who are younger are in the same boat. They don't vote. We didn't get taught really about voting or politics. And when we left school, I didn't care about it. I wanted to go play sport, hang out with my friends, have some drinks and chase birds, you know. And that's what, you know, that's what kids are doing. When they leave school, they don't know about it, so, you know, they don't pursue it.
Do you think that some of the free services that the council do, like the gardens and parks and things like this, can be an education source in their own right?
The free services, which ones are those?
Well, things like having the Hamilton Gardens in existence, right? It can be a way to learn a bit about not just environment issues, but about the shape of the gardens, about people, these sorts of things. Parks, for instance. Taking kids to parks. I notice there's one near me that I've seen packed a lot of the time, which is good because you've got parents taking kids to the park. These hands-on, play on the swing, this sort of thing, are teaching kids good things. The different parks we've got around and patches of bush we've got around, that the council, because I know people always say cut rates. But the problem with cutting rates is, what are you going to lose? Does that mean some of our areas of bush are not going to be maintained? Things like this. And do you see that these areas are important tools to create better people? Because youth are getting access to parks, to gardens, to the zoo, to all these different things. And if that's paralleled with the learning, you are creating better skate parks. Melville just redid their skate park, right? What does that do? That brings a whole lot of kids there to skate and enjoy themselves, rather than wandering the streets being a problem, which potentially is the other option.
I think it's a good way to teach socialisation, you know, getting people together in communities. You know, obviously it's Melville Skateboard Bowl. A lot of kids love skateboarding and BMXing, you know, they hang out together. And I think we need to keep searching for areas that we can provide. But the thing is, if we're going to build them, we've got to make sure people are using them. One thing we're struggling with, I think, is people are so time poor these days. You know, when do they get to use them? Besides the kids, you know, because we need to get adults out there too.
Do you think there is, to some degree, that the council could be promoting more events? They do the ice skating here in Garden Place. Then there's a few other things they do, but do you think they could do more to involve the social aspect of bringing people together in a clump?
Because
Garden Place is right in the middle of Hamilton. What if we had more music happening in there?
I think that's a massive issue. I think it's probably one of the biggest issues we have is this disconnection and disengagement, not just with our communities, but with our communities and council. And we need to, look at the Corbin's Event Centre, for example. We've got this amazing facility that nobody uses. So why aren't we using? Why do we have people in there who know how to promote these new events that are going to get people coming in? And the lake, look at the lake. We've got that big stage there. Why aren't we having more events down there? Getting people together. And you know, we're so isolated. We seem to isolate ourselves more as a society now than we ever have, instead of coming closer together. That's one of my biggest concerns.
Okay. Now, if you became councillor, is there any one thing that sits at your top of your to-do list that you think needs to be looked at? I'm not saying something has to be done, but something that needs to be paid closer attention to within that first period, and like they say, the 100 days. You know, the first thing that needs to be paid attention to. Anything that leaps out at you?
When I'm talking to people on the streets, when I go door knocking, as much as my probably biggest issue is affordable housing, which is big for people, particularly homeowners, rates is the biggest issue they have.
Okay.
So I guess my idea isn't necessarily, right, let's drop rates. My idea is, how can we spend our money as efficiently and effectively as possible so that rates don't have to go up, and yet we use it as best as we can to cater for the growth that is going on and make Hamilton a bit more exciting. So I have this impression that council may be a little bit like maybe enjoy spending money a bit too much, you know,
or as my mother would say, a little bit irresponsible.
A little bit irresponsible, where ratepayers want every dime for their dollar, you know.
Yeah,
and that's what we should be providing. They should be able to go, right, the rates are going up. We appreciate why they're going up this time. Not going going up. Rates are going up again. You know?
Yeah. Do you think also council could work in partnership a lot more with organisations outside council, and also find ways to involve people more so that they understand what's happening? Because I think part of the problem with the spending of rates is there isn't a big interaction between the public and the council. Yeah. Yes, people can do submissions, but
who's got time for that?
How many people do you know that are comfortable rocking up and doing a submission in front of the council? Yes, I would be relatively comfortable doing that because I fall into the category of I'm going to tell you what I think regardless of whether you want to hear it or not. You know? And as a teacher, you're used to being in front of people. And presumably as a teacher, I don't know what level you teach at, but you're probably comfortable putting together charts and explanations because, yes, there might be times if you're doing the submission, you might be tempted to talk to the councillors there that are a bunch of kids. But there are a lot of people that have good ideas or good views on something. That environment's not ideal. I've talked to some of the councillors about the idea of doing like this, a talk to a councillor over coffee type situation to keep in touch. Do you think that would be a feasible option?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest issue that we have is this disconnection and disengagement from our citizens and the council. And like you're saying about submissions, you've got to submit to your ideas, or you've got to watch a 3-hour YouTube video to see what's going on in the council meetings. The council needs to come down to the same level as the citizens and go, right, you use social media. Everyone uses social media. This is what I'd love to see happen. Right, this is what our ideas, what we have for affordable homes, for example, and they bullet point a few ideas that they have, and they have the small ideas inside that and what it might do to the rates. Just for an example, people might be able to go, right, I like this idea, but maybe we could change this, you know, and make it easier for them to participate and be engaged with it. And reading all these submissions and the reports, people just don't have time, and they're not going to give their time to read those sorts of things.
Yeah, because as a teacher, you're more engaged with your students now, and from what I can see, teachers are more connected and engaged with their students than counsellors are with the general public.
Oh, without a doubt. But the thing is, the counsellors, and one thing that I'm noticing is that a lot of counsellors, they go up, right, I'm representing you, and then they get into council and that representation stops. Whereas that should be where it first, if there's a policy that's been thought about, then I will want to go to my constituents and go, right, this is what we're thinking about at the moment. What do you guys think about this? You know, have good access to counsellors, you know. But we just don't have that. There's a couple of counsellors who get out there a bit and have a chat with people, but that's the rest of them are almost going to hibernation when they get into council.
Yeah, I noticed in the last 3 years, not counting what I do, there were only a couple of councillors that I saw actually had a real connection with getting feedback from people.
Yeah. I saw Angela, she's on Facebook, on Twitter, on everything. That's what every councillor should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, making it easy to be accessible to the people who put you in there in the first place.
Yeah, and she's been doing that since she's been in council. It's not like she's been doing it just for the election. The only difference between before the election and during the election, pretty much, is her branding.
Yeah.
The rest of it, communicating to people, discussing things, and getting feedback from people, she's been pretty consistent about that.
Probably her and Bunty are the really only ones that I know have been, you know, consistently out there meeting people, you know, and that's part of the role. I think it's a really important part of the role. And at least if you're accessible, then people will feel more comfortable coming to you. And that's what I think is one of the main roles.
Yeah, because we do need to recognise that probably some of the best information and ideas can come from the people who are least likely to make contact with you just because of
I agree.
situation.
So we need to think of ways that we can get people engaged again, and that's the whole lot of them. The young people and the middle-aged and the older people as well. Because I know there's a lot of talk about, these wasn't male, pale and stale, but they have that group that they cater to, I guess. But there's just not enough catering to the other generations as well.
Yeah, and we got to keep in mind that if we don't, that younger generation is the one that's going to be sitting in our position in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
So if they're not engaged now, it's like if they're not falling into the apprenticeship category now, what are they going to be like when they get to the situation where suddenly they have to run the city? It's out of every group you're going to have a certain number of people who are good at it. But if you're not engaging that group now and keeping them interested, what's going to happen in 30 years' time when the generation that you're teaching now are the ones that are running for council?
Yeah. We need it. It needs to be done in schools. I reckon it's imperative we get it into schools. Just like they've pushed in New Zealand history, they need to push in civics around politics and voting.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, thanks very much for your time.
Oh, sweet as.
Good luck in the election.
That was awesome.
And you'll have to let me know if you do your sign competition. Because, that'd be interesting to get some photographs of that.
Yeah. I'll let you know. Yeah, I'd be keen for that. I mean, otherwise they're just going to sit at my house and I don't know if I'd use them next time, but might as well use them.
Yeah, because otherwise they're just collecting dust for 3 years.
Yeah, that's
you never know, you might get some that are worth framing and hanging on your wall.
One of my mates wants one for his garage. I don't know if he wants to use it for a dartboard or what, but we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having like a collection of them, nicely framed up and stuff like that. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
But
it would be quite cool if we got all of the councillors to do it. I mean, Maxine would have a few spare, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but we use them, create some.
That would actually be another thing that the council could do as the new council could get some posters from the different candidates that are interested in taking part. And having a competition, just having a big stack of them. Maybe do it in a day, provide all the materials in a day somewhere, say Garden Place on a fine day, and invite everyone to come, like they do the chalk fest that they do. Similar thing, but on these.
Yeah, that's right.
Would be cool.
I mean, because there's some amazing artists out there working at Rotatuna. Jeez, you just see these kids that have just got the eye for detail. We need to put, have avenues for them to go down. So this would be a starter.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Oh, well, thanks very much.
No worries. I really appreciate you giving me some opportunity. Sorry it took so long. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.